I believe very much in my profession, the honorable profession of journalism, but I particularly believe in the honorable profession of public service television. I believe that we are the servants of the people. We are not servants of government. We are not servants of politicians or powerful people. We are the servants of the people, and that is our job, and that must be our only loyalty. And if I keep on repeating, you will find out as I go along, if I keep on repeating that we are servants of the public, I believe that. I believe that absolutely implicitly. We are their servants. Around the world, public television, like all television news, is in great danger. It is quite possible that around the world in a few years, there will be no public television left. None. None. You will not have jobs. I will not have a job. This is quite possible. Unless we reform, unless we change, unless we start serving the people. Around the world, more and more public television, news, journalism, is losing viewers, because professional politicians do not understand the concept of journalism as an essential, absolutely essential cornerstone of democracy. They do not understand that. They see television, broadcast journalism, newspapers, they see as servants of the party. So having depressed you, I hope, depressed you, made you sad, I will now try, during our time together, to cheer you up a little with some suggestions of how we can survive around the world as servants of the people and not servants of politicians. One of the reasons why we are doing so badly, apart from political interference, is the way we tell stories. People pass on information to each other, and they have for many years, through storytelling. But storytelling is not just having a beginning, a middle, and an end. That is just passing on facts. Facts are not stories. Human beings in their languages and in their cultures over the centuries have developed a way of telling stories. How should we do stories? If we're not going to start at the end and work back to the beginning, how should we tell the stories? Let me suggest, please, ladies and gentlemen, that this is the order of stories in all cultures, in all countries, and it always has been, and as far as we know, it always will be. You do not start at the end, you start with the context, which is just enough information so that the story to come is understandable. Just enough. It is the who, what, when, where, for instance, of the event. Who, what, when, where. And the rest of it is very often the why of it. The single most important question in broadcast storytelling really is the answer to the question, why does this happen? So, we start with the context. A foreshadowing is in many, many good stories. Foreshadowing is a hint and a clue that something unexpected is going to happen in the story. Because, after all, what is the point of a story if there's nothing unexpected going to happen? Then it is just facts, nothing more than fact and fact and fact and fact. Our job is to explain the facts, and our job is to put the facts into an order that makes them interesting, so that people, the audience, does not immediately go to the bathroom or go to the fridge and open another beer, cerveza. So all I am talking about as we continue now is storytelling and not events. Event is a car crash, who cares? Then you discover that the prime minister or president was driving and he was drunk at the time. And now we come to something crucial in storytelling. Cause and effect. Why does something happen? Why does something happen? Because of something else. You use the word because as a fulcrum, as it were, between one part of it and the other part. And I will reveal more as we go along, using the word because each time, because that defines cause and effect, or effect cause. Does not matter which order they come in. Effect and cause. Keep in mind first that everywhere in the world, television journalism tells stories in the same way. Starting at the beginning, the big event, the end of the story, and going back to the other things. So we have educated already people to think that that is normal. I am suggesting, as part of my revolution, if you will, of what we do, that if we want to be different, and look, let me ask you, do we have any choice but to be different? If we are all doing the same stuff, how can we be any different from everybody else? We can't. So let us rethink what we are doing to provide an alternative to the way everybody does stories, to provide an alternative. Now, you say young people move at a different pace. Yes, they do. But that does not mean that they are a new human being. They're not new human beings. They're the same human beings we are. It's just that they grew up watching television, which starts the story at the end and moves back to the beginning. And they grow up listening to people talking very loud and very fast about very important things all the time. And they think, therefore, that is natural and that is the way that people communicate. And that people, if people don't do that, they will not communicate and they will not give energy to the viewer. Whew. We can re-educate them. We literally can. And I think only public television can do that. Because, for one thing, we have nothing to lose. We are losing anyway. We are losing anyway, all of us in public television around the world. So if we can provide an alternative to the other guys, as I said earlier, I cannot guarantee that it will work, but I can guarantee that if we don't provide an alternative, then we will die, for certain. Why don't we try? Say, for instance, you work for one of the news programs. You work for one of the news programs. No, if you did, say you're a reporter. Say you're the editor of the news program. What if you have, at your morning meeting, the news meeting in the morning, what if you designate just one reporter each morning to, I want you to try some of these crazy things that this crazy man from far away says. Try telling the story chronologically, taking a little more time, using simple language, one thought to a sentence, talking like a normal human being to the microphone, because microphones are very good these days. You don't have to shout like that to be heard in somebody's living room. You don't have to. Microphones are good. What if you try an experiment? Your job, Juan, is you will try this stuff. Let us see what happens. Let us see if the viewers like it. Let us see if we like it. Then maybe the next week you say, hey, 2 reporters this time I want to do. Try that stuff. See if it works. See what happens. You have nothing to lose. Nothing to lose at all. In a laboratory situation, You have somebody reading the news and doing it the conventional way, loud and fast. And then you do a little bit of training for that person and persuade them to go a little slower and a little softer, like a normal person talking to another person. And you can measure the difference in little needles like that in the viewer's ability to concentrate and take part in the story. And when you lessen the speed and you lessen the volume, I promise you, the viewer takes much more part in the story and becomes part of the story much more often and gains a great deal more from the story. The way to understand, as I understand it, please remember this is my own view. The way to look at a newscast in any country is, in a television newscast, is close your eyes. So for a moment, you don't see the beautiful woman or the beautiful man. Look, good evening, here is the news. I am Tim Knight and you're not. You don't see that person. You close your eyes and think, as this person is talking, is reading, you think, is this a way to communicate one person to another? Is this the way a person communicates to other people? Is this the way, if I was having a drink with a friend of mine, across the table, about this distance, for instance, would this person be talking normally to me, or would this person be proclaiming at me? And the secret, I think, is to understand that the beauty of television journalism, of a reporter or an anchor talking to me, is that person should be talking to only one person. One person. One person. Not 50 million people. Good evening, 50 million people. Here is the news. No. That person should be talking to Tim, to me, in a way that is appropriate to talking to one other person. Now, disagree with me now, please, because this is very important. Disagree? Nobody? You all agree that the way to do it is to talk to one other person, appropriate to talking to just one other person? Surely you can't agree on that, can you? So why does everybody do differently then? Why doesn't anybody do that? But at the beginning, the people thought, well, this television thing is very good for singers and dancers and dog acts and priests. It's very good for that. But it'll never be any good for news because it's unimportant. It's not going to be much importance in our lives. And then one day, somebody said, hey, let's try and see if we can do some news on television. So they said, well, who knows how to do news? And the answer was, newspaper people. They already do news. Ha! So they went to the newspaper people and they said, please come and work with us in television to do news, because you already know how to do it. And any of the newspaper people who were really good said, ha! This television is no importance at all. Nothing. Newspapers will rule the world forever and ever and ever. Newspapers are where journalism is. Television is for dog acts and priests and people like that and singers. So as a consequence, they hired newspaper people, yes, but they hired second and third rate newspaper people to write the news. Not good ones, bad ones, who were not going to make it anyway in the newspapers. They're not very intelligent, did not have much knowledge of the world, so they came to write the news. second, third-rate newspaper reporters. Many of them very old, by the way, who could take the chance of leaving their newspapers, but anyway, would not go any further. So then they had to ask the question, well, who is going to read this news stuff? And they looked around and they thought, actors, because they are used to, good evening. If it were done when 'tis done, then 'twere well it were done. If 'twere done when 'tis done, then 'twere well it were done quickly. If the assassination could trammel up the consequence, that but this blow might be the be-all and the end-all here, that here upon this bank and shoal of time. And I don't think you need to translate that. That's from Macbeth, by the way. And they were taught to proclaim to the back of the room, to the stalls up there, to use this voice, the ballsy voice. That's what they were used to. Good actors, though, didn't want to leave the theater because they knew television would never catch on. So they got bad actors to come and read the news. So now we had a combination of bad newspaper people writing the news and bad actors reading the news. The same tradition stayed because that's the way we started doing our profession. Simple, short words in simple, short sentences. Active voice. No euphemisms. No acronyms. The language we use every day when we communicate with each other. And in reference to that last part, we have a tendency to try and impress people with our language in all cultures, in all languages, in all television newsrooms. We have that tendency. Please avoid it at all costs. You have to be very intelligent to write very simply. And if it is easy to understand, it is then easy to be remembered. It is then easy for the information to be retained by the viewer. And when that happens, I promise you, magic happens. Magic happens. I see no reason whatsoever, under any circumstances, why we should not use the language of the people in whatever language we operate. I cannot think of any reason. I can think of no reason why we should use written language rather than spoken language. It is a spoken medium. I can see no reason why we should not tell stories in a storytelling way, in a narrative way. I could see no reason why we should start stories at the end and then work back to the beginning. And I can see every reason why we should tell stories as we human beings have told stories since we first were in the caves. So I would ask you to forget the inverted pyramid and just try telling stories in the way they happened. But I also think that it is possible that we can do this thing, we can reform public television so that it becomes worthwhile again. I believe this. I believe it implicitly. What we do in our profession is we guard and protect something called the free marketplace of ideas. The free marketplace of ideas. It is a mythical place within which, in this marketplace, in a democracy, you can drop any idea. In a democracy, you can drop any idea, and the people will judge it. Not the police, not the army, not the politicians. The people will judge the idea into this free marketplace of ideas that we make available and we guard. And if the people decide that it is a good idea, it will flourish and it will grow. And if the people decide that it is a bad idea, it will wither and it will die. That is what this marketplace consists of. It is the very duty of public television to do good journalism. Otherwise, there's no need for us. Otherwise, we're just like the privates. But I am not depressed in the long run. Otherwise, I would not do this silly thing I do. I'm not depressed. I think we can win. But I think we have to realize that we reach for the unreachable star. A glorious quest, you might call it. A line from the song. That my heart will lie peaceful and calm when I'm laid to my rest. If we do our duty, I think we can win. If we don't do our duty, we will obviously lose. And the society will be a much worse place. Somebody, please. You're all thirsty and hungry, I know. Nothing else? In which case, I want to thank you. I have enjoyed myself, and I hope that a few of the ideas will be of use to you. And if not, oh well, life will continue. Muchas gracias.